Hey everyone, welcome back to Matcha Monday here on Let's Talk Matcha. I'm so excited for another episode where we dive into the bittersweet moments of the teenage experience, just like matcha. Both can often be messy and imperfect, but that's what makes them beautiful in the end. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. Today's guest is an extraordinary example of someone who's able to turn hardships into something truly remarkable. She moved to Palo Alto from Pakistan at the young age of 7, where she lives in a studio apartment with her mom and her brother. Despite facing many challenges growing up, she never let them define her, and instead she used them as her motivation to create her life of success and impact. At just 18, she founded her own company, Skillify, a Forbes recognized company dedicated to helping high school students gain real-world career skills. And she's been recognized with prestigious awards like Forbes 30 Under 30 in Education and USC's Entrepreneur of the Year in 2014. Her work has impacted over 150,000 students, and her journey I'd say, is definitely a testament to resilience, vision, and the power of perseverance. And I'm beyond grateful to have her here with me today. I know her story will leave you all feeling super inspired and motivated to take on whatever challenges come your way. Let's welcome Shireen Jaffer.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And also, before we dive into today's episode, I want to share something exciting for any high school students listening. If you're looking to level up this summer, Skillify's new summer program helps you meet amazing mentors in your dream career, and you'll be able to learn how to land internships while still being in high school. Whether you're looking to learn something new, build your resume, or just figuring out where to start and what your next steps will be, this program could be exactly what you need to make this summer count. We'll definitely share more about this later in the episode, but definitely keep listening if you're interested in learning more. So with that, let's get started.
Let's do it.
So Shireen, you've accomplished so much, but looking back, what's one thing you would tell your younger self, especially during the toughest times of your teenage years?
Yeah, so I thought about this a lot. So if you saw me think about this question a lot, it's a great question. I would tell my younger self, especially during the hard times, there are so many incredible people around you that all have hardships, that have all gone through something that you can learn from. So especially during my hardest times when I was feeling lost, I felt like I there were times where I didn't even know why I was feeling lost. I was just feeling lost. I didn't know what I needed help with. And when you don't know what you need help with, it's really hard to problem solve for yourself. But it was always in those moments when I had a conversation with my friend or my friend's mom or my friend's dad or my teacher that I was like, oh, you're right. I don't know how you know me better than myself. But all of a sudden I had the clarity. And I think as a high school student or just as a young person, I mean, I'm a young person now, but when I was younger, I didn't realize that at the end of the day, it's just about the people all around you. And I wish I knew earlier that people were the answer to a lot of my challenges and to a lot of my hardships. I could learn from them. I could learn from their stories. I could get inspiration from them. And I was really focused on myself and my school and all this other stuff. But honestly, I could have just been focused on meeting lots of people and sharing my story and learning from them. And that probably would have accelerated me even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard to go through hardships alone.
Yeah.
So I think consoling other people and like gaining new perspectives helps a ton.
Yes.
Like for me, like anytime I'm going through something alone, I often have trouble and I struggle because I'm not talking to other people and I'm not utilizing the people around me. But when I actually like open up to my friends and family, the people who are there, they're meant to embrace your hardships with you and they're meant to be your support system. So I feel like really utilizing that helps a ton. But also, I remember you mentioned how you grew up in Pakistan and you moved here. So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like I grew up here because I was so young. I was 7 years old when I moved to Palo Alto. Now, I did get to go to Pakistan for the first time as an adult 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I was 29 and I hadn't been back since I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
That was a wild experience because I got to go back to where I grew up. I even have a picture. If you remind me, I'll send it to you. But I went back to the little apartment, if you could even call it that. Honestly, it felt and looked like a cage, for lack of better words. It was both amazing to see and horrifying to see because amazing because I was so grateful for my parents for recognizing that little old me who's rambunctious and loud and has all these ambitions was not going to cut it in Pakistan. So they got me out and I could not be more grateful to them for that. Um, but it was also horrifying to see because so many people like me are still living there in those conditions. And again, the opportunities that I got access to living in the Bay Area, I think from a really young age, I was very aware at how lucky I was to be here. And then I think, again, at the age of 29, I felt extraordinarily lucky just witnessing where I come from.
Yeah. So, what would you say your transition was like coming from Pakistan to Palo Alto, which is a pretty affluent area?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you think I was poor in Pakistan, I was even poorer when I got to Palo Alto. It was wild. But it was so funny because, most immigrants move to places like more urban places,
yeah.
right? They'll move to LA, they'll move to Chicago, they'll move to Dallas. So I remember when we moved to Palo Alto, the only family member we had was in Chico, like 4 hours north of San Francisco. And that was my uncle. And when he heard my family was moving to Palo Alto, he was like, "Are you sure? Who moves to Palo Alto? That is just luck. It is luck to get to move to Palo Alto." So the transition, honestly, as if I remember it accurately, it felt very easy. Um, we didn't know anyone here. I don't know how my mom did it. She MVP'd the whole thing. But I do remember my school, pretty much my entire education journey. I had the most supportive teachers. I had incredible parents around me, like my friends' parents. I remember it being hard. My dad got stuck in Pakistan. So all those things emotionally were really tough. I found my diaries recently, like my middle school diaries, and I was like, it was just like names of boys I had a crush on, like literally lists and lists of boys. I was like, wow, I liked 15 boys at one time. This is strange. But I also saw that I was a pretty angry kid as well, like especially around like 11 and 12 years old. I don't remember that, but my diary showed that I did struggle with a lot of anger and hardship and feeling alone. But at the same time, as an adult, what I remember is feeling very supported. And I don't know if I would have gotten the same type of community I got in Palo Alto if I was living in a more urban,
yeah.
city. So,
I think sometimes you don't realize in the moment how good you have it
yeah.
until you look at it in retrospect. Like 10 years from now, I don't realize how good I have it right now. Like, although I'm super grateful for all the opportunities and privileges I have right now, obviously sometimes life does get hard.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, you're going to be like, wow, 10 years ago, I was that angry. Like,
Yeah.
that's how, like,
Yeah.
how you're
And the
feeling.
crazy part is I don't remember being
Yeah.
that angry, right? And I think that's also a beauty is if you're a kid right now or a young adult that's feeling angry and lost, guess what? It you might forget feeling this way in the future. So just hang in there and like get through it. I don't remember feeling angry. I don't remember feeling lost. All I can remember looking back is wow, I am so happy I grew up in Palo Alto and I'm so lucky. And I do agree with you as you get older, you meet more people. So then you see where they come from and you see the struggles they had. And quote unquote, like relative to, I think some of the people I now have met, I'm like, wow, I had an easy life. But when people hear my story, they're like, no, you didn't. But I love that I can look back and say, you know what? No, relatively, I feel like I had an easy life and I just feel good. I just feel lucky.
And for you, I know you said like you went through a lot of hardships
Yeah.
growing up, especially personally. Like you said, you had a lot of emotional hardships since your dad was still in Pakistan and you since you moved from Pakistan to here. And how do you think that those experiences shaped you to be the person you are today, both personally and professionally?
I am the thing I am most proud of about myself is I am gritty as heck. I have been through a lot. Going through the hardships has made me so self-confident. And there is nothing you can throw my way. I'm 31 now, and I can confidently say this, knock on wood, because God, the universe might deliver. But really, there's nothing that you can throw my way that I don't think I could get through. I have so much confidence in myself because, I've gone through years with my mom being very, very sick. My mom, who is my hero, but especially when I was younger, I saw her get really sick. In the same year that she got really sick, my dad had a heart attack. My boyfriend at the time moved away, and I felt really alone. And I went through a deep depression in college, and I struggled to have a social life because I was already building a business and working 100-hour weeks. I struggled with my weight. I gained over 150 pounds in my 20s, which I have now lost, and I feel really proud of that. Also, when you lose 150 pounds, you also realize, wow, if you can do that, you can do a lot. So going through all the hardships has given me a level of confidence that I think you can only really get having survived a lot of hardships, which is why one of the most important things I tell people of any age, do things that force you to fail and force you to kind of go through really hard challenges, because if you come out of it, and you will feel so good about yourself and you'll feel so proud, and that confidence is going to carry you to heights that you can't even imagine right now. So that was my
Yeah.
biggest learning.
It's definitely a lot about self esteem. And I like the
Yeah.
point that you brought up about persevering through all of your hardships, because that's something I think a lot of teenagers struggle with. And I can't even stress the amount of people I've heard saying, like, oh my gosh, like I just want to end it. Like everything is so hard for me right now. I'm balancing so many things and there's so much to do in such little time. But it's just like everybody goes through that. And it's just like you have to get through it.
Yeah, I also think there's a few things there. One, I think high school students, and I was one of them, we do too much for no reason. That's one thing. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, like you're actually like, what the heck? Why am I so overwhelmed and I don't have time to like have fun? Sit with that. That there's probably some truth in that. And maybe the answer is don't do all the things you're doing. Ask yourself why you do certain things. If you are doing them because you're genuinely interested, they will actually help you develop skills that will ultimately help you be more successful, stand out, right? Develop a unique skill set, develop a unique perspectives. If those are all things that you value, then yes, doing those things is awesome. But if you're doing them because you're like, I don't even know why I'm in this extracurricular, I think I just have to, pause. Because that activity is always going to feel stressful for you, and that's going to trickle into everything else you do. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if you have committed, if you have a really good reason as to why you're doing things and you've chosen to do those things, then yes, just know that when things get hard, sometimes you don't have to think about, oh no, how am I going to get this done? Instead of thinking about the how, just do it. Like lean into the momentum of getting up in the morning and going to your classes and then going to practice and then going to the extracurricular and then going to the youth group and then coming home and doing all the homework and then going to bed. I mean, that is a crazy long day. Like today, I was out of the house by 7 a.m. I taught a Skillify conference until 3 p.m. I came right here after a 90-minute drive. I'm probably going to get home around like 10 p.m. today after doing work after this. So I'm going to have a 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. day. It's crazy to me that most high school students have 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. days. But all that to say, if you can run that today and genuinely have a good time doing those things, you're set for life. And the beauty of getting older is you also have a lot more choice. Like, I love being older because I do have a lot more choice. But yeah, I will say, don't just stick to things because you think you should. Make sure you're doing them for the right reasons. Have fun in them. It makes life so much more worth just like experiencing. And then once you commit, yeah, just get through it. And in those moments of overwhelm, know that it's temporary. And know what is really overwhelming you and question yourself if it's worth being overwhelmed by or not. And then make the
Yeah.
choice.
I think something great about that is that you have your own autonomy. You could say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. But it's just like, how do I explain this?
You have agency.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of students, and frankly, a lot of adults, don't realize you are in full control over your life, girl. I love this about myself too. And I've always been like this. And people used to say it like it was a bad thing. But they were like, well, when Shireen wants what she wants, she gets it. Heck yeah. If I know I want something, I will make it happen for myself. Now, I will say, don't take advantage of people while you're doing it. Don't push others down to get what you want. I promise you, there are ways to get what you want while still being a very good, kind, high integrity human being. Frankly, you'll go farther in life if you're those things. And life will be more fun. But yeah, you have so much agency no matter how old you are. And yes, as you get older, you actually get more self-agent. But you have way more agency now as a 14-year-old than I think most students are empowered to be. but you're there. You have it.
Thank you so much. And also, you got into USC, which is so hard to do. So, like, what do you think made you stand out in the application process, and how did you stay focused in order to get in? Because that's not easy at all. Oh my gosh.
Girl, I was not even thinking about it in high school. I know that's crazy. So I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to stay in California. I wanted to stay close to my family. Also loved California. USC wasn't on my radar until my older brother, who's 5 years older, he had gone to college tours. He ended up going to UC Irvine, but when he had gone on college tours, he had come home with a sweatshirt that said USC. Honestly, I just like the colors, and I was like wearing the sweatshirt. And then he was like, "No, Shireen, USC is actually a great school, and you should think about it." And then I started looking into some of the programs, and I liked the campus and whatever. How did I get in was interesting because I did not have a 4.0 in high school. I think I had a 3.5, which at the time, I think the minimum GPA requirement for USC was like 3.7. And my SAT score was fine. My ACT score was actually really good. But that's it. I didn't have a lot of extracurriculars because we couldn't afford them. I couldn't afford, the thousands of dollars it cost to do sports and extracurriculars and, robotics and all these things that all my friends were doing, but I was working. I had my first job when I was 12. When I was 14, I was working in real estate because I was really tall and no one asked me my age. It's a lot more strict now, but you'll be surprised. So I was working in real estate, and then I worked at a Kmart, and I worked at a frozen yogurt place, and I got fired from a frozen yogurt place. And I worked in all sorts of things in high school. So I think what made me stand out on my college application was the fact that my essay was about all these jobs I had and how much I interacted with the real world, and how when I was going to come in as an 18-year-old into college, I wasn't coming in lost or confused or just going to college because I should go to college. I was coming in having full confidence that, hey, I've explored medicine and I've explored business and I've explored retail and I've explored technology, and I have conviction that I want to major in business because of X, Y, and Z. So my essay was about getting fired from frozen yogurt and what I learned about that. So when you guys think about college, right, what do they care about? When they choose to accept somebody, yes, they're looking at your grades and whatnot. I didn't have the grades. So I think I got accepted because they believed I would come into their college, community and immediately be someone that adds value, immediately be someone who's sure of themselves, immediately be someone who's value additive to, the different programs and to the other students. And that's what colleges care about is, are you going to create value while you're here, right? Are you going to, once you graduate USC, be an amazing alumni that we feel proud of? Those are the types of things colleges care about. So I think for me, writing all of that in my essay probably gave that person, the admission counselor, reading my essay confidence that, oh, this girl is standing out from the rest of the crowd despite not having done any extracurriculars, despite frankly having a pretty mediocre academic resume relative to other students, I'm sure. But her essay is about something that no other student's writing about, right? Most students write about the community service project. Most students write about that challenge or that hardship they faced, but pretty much like similar stories. Like everyone kind of has a similar story. And mine was about working in real estate. Mine was about getting fired. Mine was about having had 10 jobs before the age of 18. Those are not things that most high school students at the time were writing about. And I think that's what made me stand out. How I stayed focused, girl. I don't know if I mean, I think from a young age, I was very disciplined. Again, I think because I knew what I wanted, I knew I wanted to go to college. I am very competitive with myself. So I always am like, I want to do better in school. I don't want to be last. I cared about all these things. So I don't think it was so much of like, Shireen, you have to focus and get into college. It was more just like, Shireen, you've got to be better tomorrow than you were today. And so I just like, it was more of a short-term focus. Like I just kept being better and better. And the result was I ended up having a really amazing high school experience and going to college and doing all of that.
Yeah, I think they made a great choice because look at where you're at now. Like, do you think that 10 years ago you would imagine where you are right now?
No, no, not at all. I mean, I like to say I'm living bonus mode in my life. Girls, I just said girls, I taught an all girls high school today. Students, everyone. I thought for some reason, when I was in high school, I thought, okay, when I graduate college, I'm going to work. So I knew I wanted to go into business. So my goal was I'm going to graduate college. I'm going to work in downtown LA, like the skyrise. I'm going to work in those fancy buildings. I'm going to have like a penthouse view at this corporate job where I wore a pencil skirt and high heels. And I got to be like so cool. That was my dream. And then I was like, okay, and then I'm going to get married by 26. I'm going to have children by 27. And then that was it. Like, apparently in my head as a high school student, life ended after you had kids at 27. Like, that is all I imagined my life to be. So yeah, now at 31, I've traveled to over 40 countries. I have flown in a private jet. I've done the yachts. I have amazing friends. I've lived a lot of life. I've lived a lot of life by 31. I've had 2 businesses, 3 actually. I've met some of the coolest people in the world. And if you had asked me in high school if I thought I would do all of those things, I'd be like, no. Like, I feel like I have to be born into a wealthy American family to do the types of things I actually ended up doing as this random girl from Pakistan. So I feel like I'm living life in bonus mode. And I know no matter what goals I set for myself for the next 10 years, I'm going to blow myself away. Like life is going to blow me away and actually what I end up doing in the next 10 years, which is so cool and so exciting.
For sure. Yeah. So you said you started your first business when you were 18, and so you were still in college at the time.
Yeah.
So what was that like navigating that while still going through USC and while taking all those challenging classes? And how did you start something so ambitious at such a young age?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because when I started a business, the goal wasn't to start a business. That ended up being a result of something I became obsessed with, which was, when I was 18, I got into USC and I saw all of my friends so anxious and so stressed out because all of a sudden there's this pressure to do internships. And they were like, I've never even had a resume. How do I all of a sudden get this like super competitive internship? And because they knew I'd been working since I was 12, I became like the go-to friend who was like helping with resumes and all these things that I was like, oh yeah, I've had a resume since I was 12. What do you mean you guys don't know what a resume is? But I became the go-to friend, and then my friends would get those internships, and months later they would come back and say, "Oh my gosh, Shireen, I chose the wrong major in college because now that I've done an internship in engineering, I realize I can't do this for the rest of my life. But then why am I majoring in engineering?" And so I was like, wait, why is it that we allow ourselves to choose majors and decide where we're going to go to college without ever exploring those interests in a meaningful way? Why don't high school students do internships before they graduate? Why is that not like a mandatory thing that we empower high school students to do? So for me, just seeing how stressed out my friends were at the age of 18 and how lost they felt despite having worked so hard and getting into USC and paying the money you need to pay to get into USC, right? Or to go to USC. I was like, okay, this is just a waste of time for students to not get to do this stuff in high school. And so I became obsessed with this. And at the time, this was summer of 2012, I was mentoring for free voluntarily. I was mentoring 8 high school students, and they were asking me things like, yeah, how do I write my college essay? And can you help us with SATs? And I said, you know what? While I'm with them all summer, why don't I take them just for one day and teach them how to get an internship? And let's just see what happens. So summer of 2012, I like spent 3 months building out networking curriculum and resume writing curriculum and just like how to find mentors and internships and recruiting my friends who had awesome internships at like video game firms and architecture firms and all these things. And in one day over the summer from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I took those 8 high school students through this boot camp. And 7 out of 8 of those students ended up getting a job or an internship that summer.
Wow.
The coolest part, I think, was the fact that all of those students had entered that day at 9 a.m., not even realizing they could do jobs or internships because they were so young. So they're like, we're not even old enough to do this stuff. And yet, just after learning the skills they learned that day and applying it to, their local cities, they ended up finding these amazing opportunities that they just didn't even know existed. And that night, that same night that I did this, like, networking career boot camp, the mom of one of the kids called me and she said, Shireen, you saved my relationship with my son. And I was like, lady, you're being dramatic. I didn't say that to her, obviously. But in my head, I'm like, I'm exhausted. What are you talking about? And she goes, Shireen, every night I fight with my son because I can't get him to come eat dinner with us. And he's always just spending hours playing video games. And I tell him how he's going to waste his life away if he doesn't take his time seriously. And tonight he showed up to dinner and he was so excited to tell us how you introduced him to a professional who's 22 years old, working at a video game firm. And my son and that professional bonded over the same exact video game. And the mentor told my son that the reason why he got his job is because in the interview, he was able to talk about that video game in such a detailed way that the interviewers were impressed, and that's how he got the job. And he told my son that, hey, when you're playing video games, learn about how video games are made and find the little Easter eggs and really be curious about this thing as a whole and not just like, spending your time playing the game. And my son, the mom says, my son says, Mom, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what I want to do as a career. I can do this and I can make 6 figures doing it. And she was like, Shireen, all I care about is my son having meaningful work. All I care about is my son having a career that he loves and that pays him well to live the life he wants. And for the first time today, I realize I'm in the wrong because my son can take this hobby of his, this passion of his, and turn it into a meaningful career. In my generation, that just wasn't a thing. And so after that call, I was like, okay. I just thought I was going to help high school students get jobs, but I am actually inspiring some real conversations at home. I'm inspiring some real life changing behaviors. There's something bigger here than me. So I got obsessed with that. That just felt so good. And I was like, okay, more. I want more. And that summer I set a goal. I was like, okay, I helped 8 high school students. Can I take this to 15 and then 30 and then 100? And 3 years later, we had tens of thousands going through these Skillify boot camps that I put together. So to answer your question, it was not about a business. It was just about loving what I was doing and finding meaning in it. I think I just was like, I just want to have fun. Now, what I did compromise as I was going through it, I compromised my health, right? And I paid for that later. I don't recommend compromising your health. I compromised my social life, which I don't mind. I'm telling you, partying when you're in your late 20s and wealthy is so much more fun than partying when you're broke and feeling lost. So I don't regret not having a social life.
I like how you mentioned the social life part, and I think something I'm struggling with right now, especially I'm just a freshman, so I still have 3 years to go till I'm in college, and then another 4 years, and then another 4 years of grad school. So I still have a lot of time left in education.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm seeing all these other kids having fun, and they're doing so many things that just look so amazing. But I'm trying to tell myself that everything I'm doing right now, I enjoy. And I'm not stressing about doing that assignment because I already did it 2 weeks in advance. I'm not stressing about what I'm going to do with my life because I'm kind of already planning it right now, which I think is a great thing. And for me, like you said, I'm compromising a little bit of my social life, but at the same time, I'm trying to have fun.
Look at how many cool people you're meeting. Just
No, for sure.
I think your social life is going to get a higher quality.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, right? It's, first of all, are you having fun in your daily life? That's really important to ask because I do see a lot of students, again, compromising for things that they end up not enjoying. They're doing it because their parents are telling them to do it, or they think society expects that of them. And then they give it up later on in life anyway. And then they look back and they're like, I didn't want to do this anyway. And I gave up 4 years of my life for what? Yeah. I've never had to say that because every time I did something, I was loving it. So I had to look there and say, okay, would I rather give up Skillify or would I rather give up going to this party or going to parties every Friday night, right? And for me, I just was like, and don't get me wrong, your girl partied. I partied. But it was almost like, I remember freshman year of college, I partied so much for 6 months. Finals week freshman year, I think I was partying every night and somehow I got through finals. So I had those moments. But doing that for 4 years, not what I needed. It wasn't my definition of fun. It wasn't meaningful. So I feel like, to everyone that's listening, give yourself the opportunity to do lots of things and just go try it. And if you find it meaningful and fun and it's worth it, then yeah, something else has to give. But you got to define what fun is for you.
I have been trying to tell myself that all of freshman year because, oh my gosh, there's this one instance. It was at homecoming, and a lot of my friends were telling me, like, Sophia, it didn't look like you're having fun. And I was like, but how could you validate that for me? Like, at the end of the day, it's me. Like, I'm the one who's going through my experiences. So
Did you have fun at home?
I had fun in my own way. Like, just because I wasn't in the center and like the mosh pit or whatever doesn't mean I didn't have fun. Like, I had fun on that side of it. You know,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to be in the center to have fun. But that moment really told myself that you can have fun that's different than the conventional way. Like, just because your friends are having fun a certain way, just because my friends are hanging out a lot and doing things doesn't mean that I can't find value in what I'm doing. And I'm trying to stress this and emphasize this as I go on throughout high school because I don't want to burn out.
Yeah.
So I think if I continue to tell myself that, I'll hopefully be okay. I'll get through it. Obviously, I'm really hoping I get through it. But it's just like, time is your most valuable thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to do valuable things with the time that I have.
Yes, I love that. Do valuable things with the time you have and don't let someone define what's valuable. Figure that out for yourself, right? There are certain things society, like just generally, are more valuable than others, but ultimately figure that out for yourself. And yeah, I think the other thing is, I didn't realize this. You realize this as you get older because life starts moving a lot faster. You can always change your mind. So what is fun for you today does not have to be fun for you tomorrow. The way you operate today, if today you decide, I don't want to be in the mosh pit, and tomorrow you decide, I want to be in the mosh pit, awesome. Guess what? You get to do both, right? So I think that's the beauty as well, is you're not stuck to the choices you make. Now, there are some irreversible choices, right? So I always say, if you're about to make a decision and it's irreversible, it has major consequences, it's kind of defining, think very hard, get some perspective, ask for help, trust your instincts, think through it, sit with it. But if it's like, I've got lots of school dances and homecoming and whatever, like the decision is, you could absolutely make a different decision next. Have fun with it. Go easy. Just try one thing. Don't think too hard. Go for it and learn from the experience, right? If you liked it, the next time you can double down. If you didn't like it, next time do something different. So allow yourself to be very iterative with life because honestly, nothing is more meaningful than learning from experience. So if you're the type of person that overthinks in their head, just challenge yourself. You know what? I'm just gonna do the thing.
Just try it.
Just try it and then see what happens.
I think that's exactly what high school is all about. It's just about experimenting and testing the water, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like. And that kind of goes into play with the internships and getting jobs and seeking real world experiences. So not only are you doing that with your social life, you can also apply those skills to your professional life.
Everything.
Yeah.
All life, right? So I always tell students, I can't tell you how many high schools, and I was one of them. They'll come to me, they're like, I'm going to be a doctor. I know it. I'm like, great. Why? Well, I grew up around doctors and I'm really good in the sciences. Great. Have you ever seen someone with a bone sticking out of their arm? No. How do you know you're going to not faint? How do you know you're going to like that? Have you ever, have you ever experienced things that you might have to do in this job every single day? And there's many different types of doctors, but anyway, you won't know until you try it. And the beauty is, especially living in the Bay Area, but frankly, just generally in America, there are more opportunities around you than you realize. And a lot of high school students say, but I'm not old enough. I'm 14. How am I going to do this? Oh, you will surprise yourself by how many people want to give you an internship, want you to work with them, want to support you and mentor you and do all of these things, regardless of your age, if you show up for them, if you put yourself out there, if you're open to it. So internships, I always say the one thing, if you do anything before you graduate high school, and I don't care if you go to college or don't go to college, one thing you must do before you graduate high school, get some working experience in the thing you think you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I actually have a story that really relates to that. I guess this is like a background piece of information. I'm interning for Shireen. I just signed the contract like a couple days ago, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm working on their Skillify social media. So I'm going to be running their Instagram and just overall building like a brand online. And trying to, obviously, like, the number one goal is just to have more students online see Skillify. So I've been trying to do a lot of social media. Like, I think for my podcast, for student council, I've just been doing a lot of media and marketing. And I think that relates to business, which is like what I want to do. And what's funny about that is, so I wanted to find an internship. So I'm a part of this like economics club, and they offer a lot of internships that you could apply for. So I applied for this one, and I went through several rounds of interviews, and I didn't get it. And I was like, man, is it because I don't have experience? And all of these other 18-year-olds that I'm going up against have more experience than I do. So I was like, that puts me at a disadvantage, doesn't it? But then as the day I got rejected from that, I saw the email. It was like, we regret to inform you that we can't offer you this position. And then Shireen, you literally texted me 3 hours later, and you were like, do you want to apply for this? And I was like, oh my gosh, of course.
For me,
Yeah.
I've gone that internship.
Yeah.
I might not have had time for this one.
Exactly. And anytime a door closes, another one always opens. I didn't even realize that until that moment. Like, I was kind of sad about getting rejected from that internship. But then looking back at it in retrospect, if I didn't get rejected, I wouldn't have been able to meet you and talk to you more.
I'll add to, when a door closes, another one opens. It is true, and you might not know that it's opened, right? So when a door closes, there are many doors that are open around you that you just can't see. So it is really up to you. And I was just at a conference today at Mercy High School in Burlingame, and one of the girls said or asked, how do you deal with failure? And I say, when you start realizing with every failure, right, with every door closing, there are so many opportunities all around you to succeed. When you realize that, you start just saying, okay, cool, I failed here. Let's see, where can I succeed? You just start looking around. But if you're someone who will wallow and hyper focus towards the failure, no one's going to pay the price except you for spending your time doing that, right? So I love that for you, you now realize, yes, sure, you got rejected from that internship. Now you've experienced, who cares? There's another internship available, right? And you're going to learn valuable skills anywhere. Are you just willing to say yes and keep moving and keep moving forward?
Exactly. I didn't even know that you would follow up with me, because I think I met you, or I guess I talked to you the first time through the it was like a guest speaking event where Shireen led it through the economic club I'm a part of, and she gave everybody her number, and I was like, you know what, she's talking about love connecting and like the power of connections, and I was like, might as well just text her. If she doesn't respond, it's okay.
Yes.
And then I think I introduced myself and I talked about my podcast, and at the time I only had one episode released, so that was about 2 months ago now. And I told her, like, I'm just starting, but I just, like, want to introduce myself to you. And then 2 weeks later, you responded, and I was like, oh my gosh, she responded. Like, this lady who just won, like, USC Entrepreneur of the Year and Forbes 30 Under 30 responded to me. Like, what are the odds? Like,
yeah, well, there are two things I love about you, Sophia. One is, I think, I can't tell you, I meet thousands of high school students on a monthly basis, and I give everyone my phone number. I literally have 2 phones. I've got my personal phone, I've got my work phone, and clearly this is my Skillify work phone. So I give everyone my phone number, and I can't tell you how many high school students tell me, like, later, oh, I didn't text you because I know you gave me your phone number, but I thought you were so busy. I didn't want to bother you, so I didn't text you. Why? I told you to text me. I tell everyone to text me. And it's really funny because whether you text me or not makes very little difference in my life generally, but it can make all the difference in your life. So my advice there, and what I love about Sophia, is, again, that self-agency, that self-advocacy, the mindset of like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put myself in situations that could create more opportunity for myself. And if nothing comes out of it, nothing comes out of it. But don't not even try, right? So always when a guest speaker says, all of you have so many guest speakers that come to your school. I can't tell you how many times I see high school students and frankly adults. A speaker comes in, they do their talk, they're so inspiring. And then they say, if you have any questions, please come up, please talk to me. And then no one goes up and talks to them because they're like, oh, we don't want to bother them, or I don't know what to ask, or whatever, right? Or they told me everything. This person has lived 30 plus years of their life. Trust me, they haven't told you everything, right? There's always things you can ask. So do the extra thing. Do the thing. Like, just put yourself out there. That's one thing I like about you. The second thing I love about you is do things that allow people to get to know you. So the fact that you had a podcast, I remember, again, so many students texted me And they all sent me messages. It was yours that was like a message and a YouTube link and like, a graphic of Let's Talk Matcha. And I was like, oh, this looks cute. Let's check it out. Immediately, Sophia standing out from all the other text messages just because you're sending me more. You're giving me more opportunities to know who you are, right? So I click play and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Oh, I really like this. Again, the more things you do, the more artifacts you have for people to know about you. The more you express yourself through these things. And it doesn't have to be through a podcast. It can be through, your website, your social media, whatever it is, through writing, through how others get to know you, through being at events, being out there in the field. I was very much an in-person person, so I was always out and about and doing stuff for the community. I really didn't have a social media presence in high school. I was just out and about. So people knew of me. They knew Shireen was reliable. They knew, yeah, if there's a gig, call Shireen. Like she'll always show up. She has a car. She's like willing to help, blah, blah, blah. So do stuff in the community and make yourself known. You are your brand. You are your own brand ambassador, right? No one is going to pitch you better than you pitch yourself. But you don't have to talk about it. Show it. Show it through the work you do and how you show up. That is how you pitch yourself.
What was your biggest challenge when running a business in college?
Okay. Oh gosh, actually, it's so funny. I had many challenges, but I think the biggest challenge while running a business in college was taking my business seriously. Because when you're young and you're doing something, it's almost like you're like when I started a business, I remember when I graduated college, I had a job offer, and that job offer was for like $65,000. And at the time, this was like 2014. So 65K was like one of the top kind of salary ranges you could get coming out of college. And I was looking at this job offer at this Fortune 500 company, and I was seriously considering it. Now, mind you, I was 21 years old. So it had already been 3 years where I had Skillify, my business, which I loved and was doing really well. And my boyfriend at the time was like, Shireen, are you seriously considering the $65,000 job offer when Skillify makes more money? Literally, my business that I loved, gave me autonomy, let me live the perfect life I wanted, was making more money already. And I was still seriously considering the job offer. Why? Because the brainwashing, the pressure, this entire societal thing of like, when you graduate, get that cushy, but get that like structured job, go work at the Fortune 500, do your 2 years, learn from others. Then if you want to start a business, do that. That traditional advice was in my brain, seeped in so deep that I was seriously considering it and not taking my own business seriously. So the most challenging part of having a business in college was literally just giving myself credit where credit was due and just telling myself, girl, you literally have already figured, like, you don't need to go take a pay cut and work a traditional job to then just start your business. Like, you've already started your business. Go lean into that. Do that. It's such a logical thing to do. Yet I think the stigma of everything was so overwhelming that if I hadn't had that perspective, I wonder what I would have done. Like, it's crazy. I can't even imagine if I had like stalled on the business and like gone and got that job, So I think same thing with you, for example, at 14, doing all of these cool things. It's really easy to undermine ourselves. It's really easy. And I think there's a beauty in being humble for sure. I think humility is incredible, but also realize, yeah, you're making it happen, and give that love and care and recognition, and take it seriously and make it bigger and do whatever you want with it. And don't think you have to be, a certain traditional way.
I 100% agree with that. Oh my gosh. There's just been so many times where I've just compared myself to other people because I feel like the majority of people, like for example, right now, a lot of kids are trying to advance in math over the summer.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't like math. So why am I going to do that? Like, I'm still going to be in geometry honors next year. But why do I have to take that extra step and put myself through so much more work when I could put that time into things I love? Like
Well, I
this.
love that you're asking why, because that's the magic question. Why am I going to do this?
I was just talking to my counselor about it because she was just signing like my community college courses because I'm still going to do community college courses for public speaking. So I feel like I could pour my time into something that I value.
So it's so interesting because there were a lot of subjects in school I didn't like.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with them later in life. And I think sadly, the way our education system teaches certain things, like math, I was really good in math and I actually really enjoyed it. But I think I enjoyed it because I was good at it. And I was good at it because I'm very good at memorization. Like I have a killer memory. Um, but if you, like, I went all the way up to AB calculus. And if you ask me, do I understand calculus? I'd be like, no. But somehow I got a 5 on my AP calculus test and I got an A in my, AB calc class. And I was a junior, I think, when I took that. So I was really ahead in math. But today I can't tell you a thing that I learned about derivatives. However, there were certain things that once I was in the real world and I realized, oh, you use math in these types of problem sets. Like you can use probability to make sense of these types of things. And when they were practical and hands-on and being used to solve problems that I was really motivated to solve, things became so much more fun.
Yeah.
Like I hated physics. I hated physics in high school. And I think it's because I honestly just didn't have a great physics teacher for me. I think they were great for certain types of students, not for me. And later on in life, I became fascinated. Like I am now fascinated with physics because it's helping me make sense of the world, right? Whereas in class, it was like, how do I pass this test? Like, how do I make sense of it to pass a test? That wasn't helping me. So anyway, for people out there, yes, I love what Sophia said. Like, follow what's fun, ask yourself why. But also, if you are really struggling with something and you don't like it, just don't be so hard on yourself. You might find passion for it later on in life, and that'll show itself to you.
The reason why I don't really like math that much is because, opposite of what you said, my memorization of math is what stops me from being better at math. Because something I realized when coming into high school is you can't just memorize the formulas to succeed in math. Like you have to know how to apply it to real world experiences. And so we do this thing at my school called like critical thinking. So we have the skills section of our test and then we have the critical thinking. So it's like you can't know just the skills. You have to know how to apply the skills. And that's when I struggled because I was like, in middle school, I've only been taught to memorize. Like it was always like, you have to memorize the Pythagorean theorem. You have to memorize every single little step. And because I was so detail oriented, that really stopped me from thriving in math and succeeding.
I also think critical thinking is such an undermined skill set. Like it is everything in life.
Yeah.
It is like one of the top skills you need to have. And I did not learn how to think critically in high school. And I went to one of the best high schools. And that is my problem with the education system. Most schools do not teach people how to think. They teach them what to think, right? What to memorize, but how to think is very undermined. So if you can learn that, that's amazing. You should learn that. You should learn how to think for yourself.
So your work with Skillify has impacted over 150,000 students. That's so crazy. Oh my gosh.
I'm so proud of it.
A ton of students. But what's the most important thing that you think high school students should know in order to succeed in this world?
Out there as quickly as possible. In order to succeed in the world, you need to know how the world works. You need to understand what you want to do in the world. And so just get out there. Again, so many opportunities, so many ways to make that happen. The way you show up is everything. The way you show up, how curious you are. When you're a student, everyone wants to help you if you're willing to be helped. So the way you show up, the way you motivate people to help you, to return your text, to return your emails, to want to stick their neck out for you, that all matters. So yeah, that's the number one thing I would say for high school students is just get out into the world as quickly as possible. Anyone that thinks they're too young, you're not. You're not too young to get out into the real world.
I think a lot of people have this mental block because of age. Like they're always like, oh, I'm too young. I can't do this. I can't do that. But you can make so many opportunities out of the resources you have.
There are so many opportunities that don't require workers permits or jobs or whatever. But even then, literally, you still don't have a blocker of age in high school. You can do anything you want pretty much. If you just find kind of the way around.
Something I did in, I want to say it was elementary all the way up into middle school, I knew I couldn't really get like an official job. And if I did, it would be paid under the table because I'm under 16. So what I did was I was like, okay, I want to make money over the summer. So I started baking these like ube cheese rolls, which was like Portos, but instead of just cream cheese, it was cream cheese infused with ube. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna start doing this, and I really loved baking. So I feel like it's just all about finding your passion, and then from there, finding ways to make money with it. If money's your motivation behind it, then just do it. Because that's what I did.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I did.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many students are like, oh, I don't want to say this, but like, I just want to make money. Amazing. Use money to motivate you. Guess what? Get really good at making money. Yeah. And do not be embarrassed of wanting to make money. Yeah, I love being able to say I became financially free. I love that I can buy whatever I want, whatever I think is valuable, because I went and figured out how to become financially free. That is so important. So as soon as you can, learn how to make money. By the way, that's not a greedy thing. It's about understanding what the world values. Because if you can make money, it means someone out there values that craft of yours enough to pay you for it. The more people are willing to pay you, the more value you are creating, right? And then now, not all value is quote unquote positive. So ideally, it's like you're getting paid for something that you love doing and ideally is positively influencing the world. But yeah, man, go make money. It's great.
A lot of high school students, especially, they say like, I want to be rich, I want to make money when I'm older, but they're not doing anything about it.
Yes. Some of my high school students, I'll be like, hey, what kind of life you want to live? And they're just like, I just want to be comfortable. Cool. What do you think you're going to need? Like, what does that mean? I don't want to have to worry about money, you know? Like, I want a good house. I want my car. I want like a cool city to live in that's walkable. I just want to be comfortable. Cool. How are you going to buy the nice house and the nice car? Yeah, probably going to need money for that. How are you going to make money? You should probably get a job. You want a job that like pays you well? You want a job that pays you minimum wage, or what you want? Probably need a job that pays me well. How are you going to make that happen? Right? So it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like when you ever, like if you are motivated to make money, which frankly, I think most people are motivated to make money, and that's beautiful. You can do something about it today. Go start making money today. My first year, when I was summer of 2012, I think Skillify, when I first started it, I think I made like $500 that summer. And I thought I was on the top of the world. I was like, oh my gosh, I made $500. And I probably put in 3 months of work to make that $500. But that $500 led to the next $1,000, which led to $10,000, which led to whatever, right? Like it kept compounding because again, I was like, okay, I added value to 8 people. They paid me $500. What happens when I add value for 80 people and then 800 people and then 8,000 people? And you can do the math, right? And so that is just do something. I agree with you. Just do something.
I think you have to you have to start now, because if you just say that you want to make money but you don't do anything about it, there's like you're kind of just all talk.
Yeah, don't be all talk, man.
I don't mean it in a bad way, but like you're just talking but you're not doing anything about it. So it's like if you want to do that and you want money to be your motivation behind why you do amazing things, then start now.
And you will find 100 reasons to not do something. So don't point your brain there. Point your brain. I love this. I'm really ruthless with myself about this. I always ask myself, where's my brain pointing? Is my brain pointing to drama and gossip and not wanting to do stuff? Or is my brain pointing to optimism and opportunity and abundance and ideas and just like exciting things? Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what does your brain think about on default? Where are you spending your attention? Where does your attention go, right? We all say we live in the attention economy. Who has your attention? What has your attention? Be ruthless about that. And if you don't like the answers, like if you're just spending a lot of time on social media, hours on social media just scrolling, or you're spending hours with friends who just want to gossip and talk about people, and you're not spending hours creating and expressing and having fun and having novel experiences, change it. Change it. Change your friends, frankly. Change your environment. That's the most important decisions you're going to make in your life is who do you surround yourself with? Where do you spend your time? What do you point your brain to? Even when your brain spends an hour thinking about someone else's life, ask yourself, what are you going to get? What's the ROI, right? The return on investment. What is that hour going to do for you? I have no idea what like knowing who's dating who is going to do for you. Yeah. Right? But in that hour, if you spent it recording a new podcast, right? That hour helped you make a new connection, It gave you content to put out in social media that's evergreen, right? That content can live forever online. It helped you learn new things. It probably helped you learn about jobs or internships that could change your life. It helped you share that wisdom with hundreds or thousands of other people that are watching your podcast. Look at how much you did in 1 hour instead of thinking about who's dating who.
If you could offer one piece of advice to young people today who might be facing their own struggles, whether it's in school, in their personal lives, or with their future careers, what would it be?
You are responsible for yourself. You have control. You get to design the life you want. You really do. So if you feel stuck, just remember you can get unstuck. And if you're like, but I don't know, like I'm dependent on my parents, I've got this, I've got that. I promise you, like reach out to me. Reach out to me. Tell me why you're stuck, and I will help you find one thing you can do, one action you can take to help you get unstuck. And a lot of people around you can do that for you. So just don't let yourself believe that there's no hope. That's when it's kind of like game over. It's like, just there's something you can do, I promise.
Yeah, there's definitely always a brighter side to things. And something that my parents they've told me that since, I don't want to say since I was like 5 years old, they've always said a closed mouth does not get fed.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds so cringe. I know it sounds really like just corny, but it's true. It really is true, and you don't realize it's true until you live it out.
Yeah.
I think it's a closed mouth does not get fed. Just means it's about having that self-advocacy. It's about doing things, and it's just about speaking up for yourself.
Yeah.
And there's always been this notion of rejection and failure. Like you're saying, failure. People are always so scared of it. But I think sometimes failure can be your best friend. Because if you don't fail, you don't learn.
Yeah, failure has been my best friend. It's what has led to my confidence. It is what has led to this like unwavering self-belief and self-esteem and all of these things. It really has.
Yeah. And you can build resilience through that.
Of course.
I think these moments of self-doubt, these moments of hardship, they're inevitable. Mm-hmm. Everybody's gonna go through that.
Yep.
Like I said, we're all in the same boat. But really, it's those moments that shape you to be who you are today. Like, I don't think if someone's life was easy, they wouldn't really be able to succeed because they're just handling everything.
I have met a lot of wealthy people in their 20s and 30s, and it's so funny because as someone who didn't grow up wealthy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying this. But they would tell me, I wish I wasn't wealthy. I wish everything wasn't just handed to me because I have never struggled in my life, and now I don't know who I am. I know that sounds crazy to me, but that is what I hear from some of the wealthiest 20-year-olds that I know. Because they're like, I don't know who I am. Like, I've never had the privilege to just struggle in life. And I'm like, this is insane. Yeah, this is strange. But you know what? It's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're wealthy, it doesn't matter if you're poor. It's ultimately like just don't be a victim to your circumstance. Just go build an experience you think you need for your self-development. If you feel like you need to learn how to be gritty, go put yourself in things that require you to be gritty. Go try to train for a 5K or a marathon that makes you develop grit. Go do a really hard project. If you don't like math, but you're forcing yourself to be gritty, go try to get through it, right? Like there are so many ways you can do this, but just put yourself in those spaces.
What's one moment or experience that has truly shaped your worldview or inspired you the most?
Gosh, that's a really hard question. And I think the most important worldview I own is you create your own life, right? Like you really do. You can create your own destiny, and there's nothing, like if you want to do something, you can make it happen. So I look back at this experience of building Skillify, and I look back at 18-year-old Shireen, and I'm so proud of her. I'm just like, wow, there were things she was doing not having had any experience. I don't have any family members in business. I went to business school, but I started Skillify before I graduated from business school, before I took any of the classes. And so that experience makes me realize you can find answers to anything. Like if you just follow your curiosity and your ability to think critically and you ask good questions, and frankly, sometimes you don't even know what questions to ask, but if you ask anyway and you surround yourself with people and you just try, if you just keep learning from experience, You will create things you could not even imagine. I have created something I could not have imagined when I was 18 years old. So that experience, I think, has shaped my most important worldview, which is you must have agency. And if you have high self-agency, you can make magic happen. And so I'm really excited to see what 31-year-old Shireen creates. And then 40-year-old Shireen will look back and be like, that girl, I'm so proud of her. And that just makes life so fun and exciting.
Yeah, I like listening to all these like self-motivation podcasts, and I think a quote that I definitely live by is do things today that your future self will thank you for.
Yeah.
As corny as it sounds, it's true, guys.
Yeah, I love it. Just like do something that you will genuinely be proud of yourself for doing. And that is really good motivation for me.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be academic. Like it could just be, for example, like starting a new hobby or going to a social event that like let's say like you're introverted and shy. Just taking that one step of going to like a social event or going to some type of function can really help, and your future self will be like, wow, I would have never learned the things that I learned if I didn't do that.
Just know that every moment there's a choice.
Yeah.
It's not about choosing something and then sticking with it for a year. It's like every moment you have a choice. Be aware of that. Be aware of your actions and your intentions.
Like you said, every moment there's always a decision, and you make the bed you sleep in. I have a problem with like future tripping, but I feel like that could be both good and bad. Cause
North Star, and then just do something now that's aligned, right? And your future is a creation. It's a result. So having some clarity on what kind of future you want. Some students will come to me and say, well, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. And I have no idea. I'm like, well, what kind of life do you want to live? Who are the people around you that seem to have lives that sound really fun to you? And some students are like, well, I know this, like my aunt, she's always traveling and she doesn't have kids. And, she's like, she loves her job. And I'm like, great, talk to your aunt. What does she do? Why is she traveling so much? What's her work? How does she get there? How does she decide? Like, why does she decide not to have kids? Like all these things, right? Go learn from people whose lives seem fun to you and start there. And then you'll back into, oh, these are the type of careers I can do to then get that type of life. Oh, and then these are the academic paths I have to do to get those careers. You can back into those answers. But that's where it's like your future is more just about what do you want to create for yourself? How do you want to feel every day? What are the emotions? Who are the people you want to be around? And then today is what you get to do to make that a reality for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, this is kind of off topic, but I was just thinking about this as you're saying this. But I have this worry that people, like, since I'm starting this podcast and I'm just a freshman, I have this worry that people are going to be like, oh, like, why should I listen to a freshman? Like, she's so much younger than me. She has less experiences than me. So if I'm, like, giving all of these, I guess, like, life advices, I'm just worried that, like, people won't listen to me because I'm younger.
So instead of worrying that people won't listen to you, just talk anyway. People are listening, clearly. You've got viewership. There's an audience. I'm here for it. You'll realize a lot of people will forget your age. Like, I forget you're 14. People forget I'm 31. People forgot when I was 18 because at a certain point, your age ends up not mattering because they're just resonating with what you're saying. I still work with people who are much older than I am, and they take my advice very seriously because my experience speaks for itself. And you right now are developing more experience. I can tell you right now, my exposure to students is really high. I meet so many students. You have more experience than a lot of college students I talk to just because of the stuff you're doing right now. So it is really hard when you're in a small circle in a very competitive high school to realize that in the grand scheme of things, you are like top 1% in experience and you don't even know it. So just do it anyway. Just do it anyway and see what happens. And you'll let yourself be surprised because you will be.
I really hope so. I'm just trying to tell myself that like the work I put in is gonna pay off in the future, and that I don't have to follow the majority. Like I can do different things than other people and still enjoy it. I can do different things and still be successful one day.
Yeah.
But I think it's just about the work everyone puts in, and you put in a ton of hard work, and you've definitely had an impact on so many people. But when you think about the legacy that you want to leave with people, like what do you hope that is?
Every time I talk to someone, there's two things I keep in mind. Leave people better than you found them. So when I meet someone, my one goal is, can I leave them better than I found them? If they were having a bad day, can I cheer them up? If they were hopeless, can I make them hopeful? If they were being negative, can I inspire them to be positive? Can I just leave them better than I found them, right? If you walk into a room, it's messy, can you leave it better than it was when you found it? It's like that. Um, so the legacy I really care about leaving, or the impact, frankly, I care about leaving on one person and a million people and a billion people is, can I just leave them better than I found them? And right now, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are hopeful. A lot of people are sad. A lot of people are happy. It doesn't matter. I just really, really, really try to remind myself that no matter who you meet, leave them with light. Just leave them with light, because everyone can use a little more light. And I know that will spread. And that's all we can hope, is like, you inspired someone and then they go and inspire two other people, and those two people inspire four, and then you have exponential impact as a result of that. That's what I care about.
Yeah. And I think especially right now, a lot of high school students feel overwhelmed, especially when it comes to like figuring out what they want to do next, or like how to even get started. When I think of a great time, I think of summer. Like I think summer is a great time to just do the things you love, because you don't have as much academic pressure. So especially with Skillify's new summer program, how do you think, if students were to do that, how do you think they could utilize that and learn more about how they can take their next step in,
Yeah.
I guess, like taking more initiative of their future?
Well, the Skillify program is designed to help you figure out what you find fun, right? So I'll have students who are like, okay, well, I really want to do engineering. How do I get started? The Skillify summer program is going to make sure you've, well, first and foremost, learn skills to go find engineers, mentors that are working in the field you care about. Engineering is a massive field. There's civil, there's materials, there's software, right? There's so many different mechanical, there's so many different types of engineering. And so if you even know, like, I definitely want to go into industrial engineering or software engineering, great. Go talk to people in those jobs. There are some companies that you're going to fall in love with. There are other companies you're like, oh my gosh, I would not want to work here. Go figure that out. So the summer program is all about helping you learn the skills and meet the people you need to meet to go actually get involved in the things you want to do. Again, you're old enough now to start experiencing those careers. You don't have to wait until you're 22, 30, 40. You don't have to wait. You can do it right now. So I think that's the most important thing you can do over the summer, is have fun. And if you want to have fun in a meaningful way, it's by doing something that you think could be your dream job. And the best thing you could probably do for yourself is validate or invalidate that. So I have a lot of students who are like, oh my gosh, they're 16 years old. Everything they've done in high school, let's say, is for pre-med. Like, they have done every community service project is related to medicine. Every extracurricular, Red Cross, every class they've taken is a science. It's all about doing pre-med. Then finally they do an internship, or they talk to a bunch of doctors and they realize they don't want to do that. And they come to me, they're like, oh my God, I wasted my whole summer because I realized I don't want to go into medicine. You were about to major in medicine for 4 years and then go to med school. Aren't you happy you figured it out in like 6 weeks over the summer? Imagine how much time, money, misery you just saved yourself by doing that, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, now you can cross it off your list. What do you want to explore next? And then if you're feeling lost because you're like, everything I did was for pre-med, now I don't know where to start. Great, let's focus on who are people around you that seem to inspire you? What are their jobs, right? Then we get to work backwards. So that's my advice, is figure out what actually feels fun to you by, getting exposure to those careers over the summer.
How can people apply to the Skillify summer program?
Yeah, so the Skillify summer program right now, there's an application. If you go to skillifynow.com, or you can text me or look at the link in bio. There's a wait list, but the application is open, so you can apply anytime. We've got different programs, but they're all virtual. So Skillify has existed since 2012. This is the first time we're doing virtual summer programs. Usually they were in person, and that's because post-pandemic, our students are from all over the nation. So we want to make sure that location isn't a reason you don't get to do this. So it's super fun. You can apply, and then if we have a spot that opens, you'll be the first to get notified, and then you can choose. We've got a bunch of program dates this summer, some in June, some in July, some in August. So even if you have other things going on, there's probably a date that will work for your schedule, and you get to choose that once you get accepted. So go to the website, apply. The sooner you apply, the sooner you get added to the wait list. And you can always text me as well. I'll include my number, and then we can talk about it that way too.
And then something we talked about earlier is whether or not things are a waste of time.
Yeah.
And like you said about the girl thinking that her summer was just wasted, I don't think it wasn't wasted because, like I said, whenever a door closes, another one always opens. Especially for this internship, I don't think it's a waste of time. I'm not biased. I haven't gone through it myself yet. I'm really hoping I do, but definitely try things over the summer. Summer is the time you still want to have fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for those of you who are saying like, oh, like I want to make money in the future, that starts now. The hard work starts now. So put in that work over the summer. Maybe if you want, you can do the Skillify summer program. Like, I think it's a great way to just meet amazing mentors and just to gain real world experience. And if you don't like it, then that's okay.
The funny thing is, I've had 150,000 students go through the program, and the majority, like I think it's like 98% or something. I have to look at the data, but I know it's ridiculously high. Say they had fun. Say this was one of the most fun experiences they've had. And that makes me really happy because I clearly am a champion of fun. So there's not a single program I put on that I'm like, oh, I would hate to sit through this. Right? I look at everything. I'm like, would I have fun doing this? Would I feel excited? Would I feel inspired? Yes, then I will teach it. If anything feels boring to me, I just won't even like do it and waste my time doing it. So if you go to skillifynow.com or if you reach out to me, we've got videos of other high school students who've gone through the program and then gone internships and found mentors. They've shared so beautifully their experiences at age 15, 16, 17 doing this program. We've had students from all over California, but also all over the nation that have shared. I've had students who grew up in like rural areas, and they're like, oh my God, I want to do marine biology. And there's not even an ocean near me. Like, how am I going to become a marine biologist? I don't even have a river. I don't have a lake. And then we introduce them to marine biologists and they talk to these people and they learn so much despite being in a rural area. So don't worry about what you're interested in or where you live. If you are excited about making money, if you want to start talking to people in interests in careers that interest you, if you have no idea what you want to do, if you're 12 years old, if you're 14, if you're 16, if you're 18, it doesn't matter. Go and check out the summer program. And if you have any questions, you can obviously reach out to me and I'm happy to answer those.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to not have experience because the whole point of doing Skillify summer program is to gain more experience.
The majority of students that enter the Skillify program have never had an internship in their life, have never had a job. They tend to be really involved students in school. They're very busy. They want to stand out on their college application. They want to have an internship. But I've had full range of students, right? The beauty of starting in California is we are in 200 high schools in California. And so I have like my celebrity Calabasas, Malibu kids, and then I've got my foster kids coming out of like Compton, LA. And everyone goes through the program. And again, majority, over 98%, say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this. It was way more fun than I thought it would be. And yes, I, got a mentor at the end of it. I found someone in my field of interest. I made a new connection. That's what makes me so happy. And I'm a stickler for data. I'm a stickler for making sure things are fun. So I look at that data very closely.
And I think Skillify, it's a program that gives equal opportunities to everybody. Just because you don't have experience doesn't mean you can't thrive. It doesn't mean you can't succeed. It's just what you have to do is go through Skillify's program. Do things that you love. Find ways to give yourself experience, and that will make all the difference. Shireen, your journey is such a powerful reminder that it's not about where you start, but what you do with the opportunities in front of you. You've shown us that even in the most challenging moments, there's always a way to turn things around and build something incredible. I think a lot of our viewers are probably feeling super inspired right now, and I know I am. I'm so grateful to have this experience to learn from you firsthand, and I know everyone else is probably super excited. Remember, nobody has it all figured out at first. If you're a high school student listening and you're ready to take that first step towards building your future, Skillify's summer program is a perfect place to start. You'll gain real-world experience, that can set you up for long-term success. Summer is the perfect time to make moves and invest in your future, and there's no better time than now to get started. Thank you so much, Shireen, for being with me today and for sharing your incredible story. It's truly been inspiring, and I know our listeners have learned so much from you. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for being a part of this journey, and don't forget to check on the link in the YouTube to learn more about Skillify's new virtual summer program. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in the next episode.